In this lesson, we're going to learn how to create a chart. Charts are about the easiest things that you can create in Excel. The key is to understand what you want to demonstrate. What is the presentation going to include? What point do you want to get across? So you definitely need to understand your spreadsheet that you created. In our case, our spreadsheet included our students, the names of the tests they took, their individual scores, their total points. Then we provided some information about the total points per test, the average points achieved on each test, the high and low scores of maximum and minimum on each of the tests. We also have individual averages. We provided a last bit of information challenging each student to have a 30% increase in their total points over the next term. So there are a lot of different bits of information that we included in this spreadsheet. Sometimes, once again, the spreadsheets are overwhelming, too many numbers, too many statistics. What do we want to focus on? So we're going to create a couple of charts to let us practice making decisions on what we want to present, as well as actually making the chart. So the first thing I would like to demonstrate is the individual test scores of my students. And to do that, I need to select the cells that I want included in that. And I'm going to begin with cell A3 through E11. So let's review that again. My students, the names of their tests, and their individual scores. I've ignored the totals and the averages and those things. I think that's overwhelming information. So to insert a chart, we go to the Insert tab. And in the Insert tab, we have some ready-made charts all ready to go. Not sure what we want? Go to the Chart Launcher. And when we select the Chart Launcher, it provides us with some suggested charts based on what I've selected. So there's a bar chart that goes horizontal, another bar chart where the information is stacked, a clustered column chart, a stacked clustered column chart, and a stacked area chart. This one really looks out of place for what I'm looking for. In this case, we're going to choose a clustered column. If I'm not sure or don't like that, I can go to all charts, and all charts are broken into categories. A line chart, pie charts, bar charts, we already peeked at that, area charts, we saw a little glimpse of that, scatter chart, which would make no sense, stocks, surface chart, radar, and a combination of charts. So we could combine two different charts with this. So I'm going to go back to the column chart. In the column, here's an example. Here's a stacked, which would serve me no purpose. A three-dimensional, and a three-dimensional stacked. Okay, so let us go back and keep it simple. We're going to choose the clustered column chart. So I'm going to click OK, and I have an instant chart. There it is. If I needed to, I'm almost finished. I could give my chart a title, and it was Test Scores, Summer of 2014. But before I do that, I decide, is this really what I want? So this is one presentation, and the presentation of this information allows me to focus on my students. Here's Felicia, Emma, Anna Maria, and there are 4 individual tests. So I can see that. Maybe that isn't the presentation I want. Maybe I don't want to focus on the students. By going to the switch row column, and I better backstep a minute here. When I click off the chart, there is no option to switch row column. When I click on the chart, look at the top up at my Excel title bar, and a new set of tabs opens up. These are called chart tools, and they specifically include a design tab and a format tab. So right now we're in the format tab, and this is our chart style that we've chosen. We could choose other styles, but right now I'm not sure if this is the chart I even want. So let's first see. My focus is on my students here. If I click in the data box here, data group, switch row column, notice how the chart takes on a new appearance. Same information, but now the emphasis is on test 1, 2, 3, 4. My students don't have a lot of dramatic difference, but if you had a score that was significantly higher or significantly lower, then you might check who that student is. But right now, everything is pretty similar, and so the focus becomes on the test. So I'm going to switch back my row column to back to where it was, and some quick styles that I can apply. I'll just roll my mouse. These are all clustered column charts. There's the data, maybe overpowering. Make sure it's easy to understand. You want the viewer to clearly understand what your intention was. So we're going to stick with the style we had here. And next thing I think I want to do, I'm going to grab this and I'm going to move it, and I'm going to place it. This is called embedding. Embedding is when you place it on the same sheet as your spreadsheet. So I'm going to see how this looks. Okay, so there I have set it in cells A18 through I32, and that's embedding. If not, I could move the chart to another location, and I could put that on sheet 2. It just depends how much information is on your spreadsheet and how you want to handle it. So now I've got all of that in place. Next thing I can do is I can edit this. And we're going to quit looking at the spreadsheet because we've already completed that, and right now we don't need to make any difference. I've got to decide what my layout's going to be, and a quick way to do that is to go to Quick Layouts. And as I roll my mouse, you will see the layouts change a little. Again, I'm all about time saving and making sure my information is clear to people. This one allows me to see individual test scores. And I think I'm going to select number 9. So number 9 gives me a place to add some labels. So I'm going to start by, if I triple click on my chart title, I can add a title. So we're going to call it test scores. And I think I'll put the summer in there, summer 2014. Then I've got my x-axis, and this is my title here. And I'm going to title this student names. Could just do names. And on this one, I'm going to title this one points earned. Again, I don't have to be so specific that way, but just points would work. So okay, points earned. So I've got all of that labeled. Now, there are last thing we want to take a look at is what we call the legend, and the legend is the key, like on a map, but the legend is the correct vocabulary. This legend could be moved wherever I want it, and then I can do some editing. So we've got these fabulously boring colors up there, but I can edit my colors to match if I want it, and I can select my data series by just clicking on one of these columns. That column happens to be test number 4. If I want to make a change, I can right click on that and I can change the fill to whatever color I think is better. And I'm just going to continue doing a little bit of changes here. Notice there's an outline button. I could also do an outline. So I've got all of those colored the way I want. And I would probably tie it in much better to whatever I've done in my spreadsheet if I was trying to make it very formal. But we're just testing, and as you see, as I make changes in the data series, it also changes the legend. The area around the entire chart is called the chart area. And then I can see that when I hover my mouse, chart area. This area is called the plot area, and that's where we're seeing all of our data series or the columns in our clustered column. When I point at the line, this is a grid line. It's called a major grid line because it's possible to put even smaller grid lines in. If I right click on that, I can format the grid line, and it opens up the options that I have for the grid line, and right now it's automatic. I can set it to it's a solid line, and I can choose the color. Let's make it purple. And I can, the thickness is 0.75 points. What if I make it 1.25? And you notice the changes that took place here. The plot area itself, I can right click on that and I can fill it, and I can do it over here. I'll do the fill, and let's do a solid fill, and let's choose a color that we like. And if I'm not finding the color that I quite like, I can go to more colors, and it defaulted to custom colors. I can go to the standard, but the custom shows me where I'm at, and maybe I want to stay in that range of colors. And there's my plot area. And let's go ahead and fill in the chart area. So on the chart area, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to use a fill on that, and I'm going to use a gradient this time. A gradient is a blend of 2 or more colors. Those are some preset gradients based on our default setting on our cluster column chart that before we started enhancing it with our own beautiful colors. And so I'm going to choose a linear, and the direction, I can change the direction of how it fades. I think I will go this way, and I can choose my color, and I'm going to stay, I think, in the purples, and maybe a little lighter, stay up there. Okay, so those changes I made really aren't the best because I can't see my legend, so I'm going to undo that. Change my color a little bit. And let's try colors again. Let's just stay with that for now. So I've got a gradient. You can see it goes from light blue to darker blue. I've got my lavender, I've got my purple grid lines, and then we have our title, our axis label. Our y-axis is points earned, our x-axis labeled student names, and we've got our legend. Now I can actually